Anyhow, okay, so I had gotten, that being said, okay, so they had already done their swarming thing, the honking thing, so I finally had enough, got outside, stared them down. Even the guy that hit me from behind as I was walking into the superstore, stared him down. Everybody started creeping up on him, and there was, I don't think he saw it, but there was one dude who saw that. But he was the furthest away, but it wouldn't have taken him that long to get up there. And I don't think he saw it, but that dude looked like he was absolutely getting ready to come up there and just rip that dude in half. And judging by his size, he probably could have done it. I mean, he didn't look too happy at all, which was, one of the few rare good things for me. Anyway, so I did manage to get a hold of the police, and of course, as I said in the last segment, I had a very rude awakening because, like I said, it was only like a very short time later where I would find out, I would see, literally, for myself that they were actually participating in the attempts. Running watch or positioning themselves for mop-ups. In a lot of cases, the same one would end up doing. And I explain all that in the other segments. I can't go over it again here, so I don't have time. I'm sorry, just please check those out if you're that interested. And I thank you for doing so. But anyway, so that I had finally gotten a hold of them. They come out, and I told them, and this, this is one of the few that I would, of course, after a while, I just stopped calling them because I knew they would do more harm to me than good. And this is, going on 6 years ago now. And that's a sad thing to say when Americans can't depend on their, what I call the boys in blue. Right now it's just the thugs making everybody blue, But this was one of them that I would come to deal with on a regular basis. But he was nice and cordial and everything that night to me. Only for a short time, though. And of course, he would literally, do a 180. Of course, after I had told him what happened and what these idiot thugs were doing and were continued to do, and were doing, of course, after he had gone and spoken to them or whoever, and there's, at that point, there's one or two things that would happen in each and every one of these attempts that they would try. And, I don't even know necessarily they were aware that they were doing it. But it was making things real easy for me. As far as, information purposes. Anyway, but I'm not gonna let that go just yet. So anyhow, so he comes back to me after talking to whoever was supposedly representing them or their group or whatever. I gave him the, of course, the dude that ended up hitting me, he was, of course, long gone. And, of course, as they always did, just managed to reappear, of course, when the police left. But the policeman, anyway, so he goes to talk with him. He comes back to me. And all of a sudden, I'm sorry, one more thing before I continue on. You know, this guy looked like an awful lot of them did, and even more of them today. Now, I don't want to get, I'm not racial, I'm not getting into any kind of racial statements here, and this, I'm just describing what is actually, what is, and it only confirmed and or reconfirmed everything that I already knew at that point, and that was a long time ago already. I don't know, and it has more to do with an agenda, let's just say someone's agenda, and as far as they go, it has more or less to do with they've just been duped like you wouldn't believe. And, you know, I hope it just, I just never hope it gets that far, but, excuse me, but, you know, their turn would follow not too long after the common people's turn would come, and they would realize that all of that, you know, crap, illegal crap that they were doing, forgive my language again, I'm sorry, you know, even the way they groomed themselves, like, you know, the bald head was for nothing more than a, you know, than cult-like practices that they had been ordered or duped into doing, whether it's supposed to be all macho or whatever. I'm not sure exactly what they tell them, but as far as what I've researched, I mean, yeah, it matched that to a T. Anyhow, but yeah, that's what he liked. So he was Caucasian and, of course, had a bald head, just like just about every other one that seemed to engage. That's their term. Okay, that should be a giveaway. That engaged with any of the things that happened to me. You know, you'd think they were part of the same club, or like I said, club or cult or whatever, because they all look just alike. But anyway, so Caucasian and bald. He comes back and he is like I had, I mean, literally like I had committed some kind of really horrific, horrible something in between that time, because he literally came back and had such a hatred. I mean, literal hatred for me. And I had not done a single thing to him. I was just a victim here. You know, it was stupid. So he said, all right, well, I was smoking with him, and, you know, of course, by coincidence, the manager for the place had just walked out. I didn't see him, but this is what he said. And, you know, I was always taught to be nice to him no matter what. So that's just good manners talking, you know. I would still say that. Only thing I would add is until they give you a reason not to. And nowadays, that's almost immediately. It is just, you know, and in a lot of cases, I think it's just because they've been mis and or disinformed. And, you know, their fate, I hope it never goes that far, like I said, but their fate, anybody who thinks that the common person, one would be bad, at least, let's just say, you know, this could possibly, maybe, just off the top of my head, possibly, maybe, could be, might be, you know, due to what I have found. You think the common persons would be bad? Wait till you see theirs. Yes, that would be those very police that are bullying everyone right now, and they have no idea. And I'll guarantee you, if they knew that, they'd think twice about doing what they're doing, because they're actually sealing their own fate. And it's all on record, and it's all against, well, I hate to say it, but against the law. You know, and would it, or will it, would it, could it be used against them? Well, think of it this way. And I actually have a segment on this a little later on, but which is already done, but I just got to get it up there. But okay, so you tell me, after being drugged, each and every single one of them, after being drugged, even the girls, like, which I can't believe, you know, they've all of a sudden grown something, you know, down there, if you know what I mean. After being drugged with a very, very powerful drug called power, and that just charges them every second of the day. And that drug can also be, you know, pronounced badge and or gun or both. And then all of a sudden, on a very different particular day, they find every single one of them being charged with a crime. Well, just tune into that other segment if you want to know the rest of that, because it's really not going to be good for them. That's why I'm hoping that they can kind of get or be educated in between now and then. Anyhow, so getting back to this, the policeman comes back to me. He's got a huge look of hatred on his face. He says that the manager has just come out. I didn't see him, but he said he's just come out, says that I can no longer shop there. I hadn't done a thing. I just went in and asked if I could use their phone to report this. And says that I have to go, like immediately go. All right. Okay, so looks like we're going. Now, before I go to the third part in this, this should set it up for you here. If you really want to know, if you find yourself in that situation, hope that you don't, but if you really want to know just how many people happen to be tailing you or stalking you at that point, when you get in your car, of course, you hear the honk. But then when you start it up and start to get going, oh, here you go, honk, 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 and the lights go on and off everywhere. Well, when I began to pull, and I purposely did it slow, when you began to pull out of the lot, it was like I had become the Pied Piper of leading, what would you call it, like some type of brigade, you know. It was just absolutely stupid. And all I did is I rolled down the hill, which was still on private property, but public, but private, you know, because it was a store's property, part of the same complex. And just until I could figure out what I was going to do there, I had to roll down to the front of what would ultimately be the site of the actual attempt on that particular night, in front of a convenience store. You know, it wasn't a 7-Eleven, but it was like that, you know, and right in the front. So of course you have the gas pumps out in the middle, and then there's a few parking spaces around that whole square there. So of course every parking space has all the cars that had been following you down the hill to this particular convenience store, took up every parking space in the front of the convenience store and every single parking space around the square and just outside on the adjacent shopping venues across the street and everywhere. I'll be back here in part 3 of this.